All right, this is another look at Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan, departing Tuesday night after attending an event in New York City not long after the royal couple says they were involved in a nearly catastrophic car chase with paparazzi. Joining us to discuss is our royal expert, Patricia Treble. All right, Patricia, as we were talking about at the top of the show, a lot of moving parts. We're trying to kind of trace the royal couple's footsteps from beginning to end. What more do you know? How can you fill in some of the details here?
Well, let's go back. So it's about 10 o'clock in the evening, and in Manhattan, that means the theater district, everyone's getting out. So the roads are kind of packed. They're leaving Midtown, and they want to go back to their place, but they don't want the paparazzi to know where they're staying. And so they want to try to shake the paparazzi. And what we know, it was definitely a pursuit, no question. The paparazzi did not want to leave them alone. They wanted to know where they were staying. And so what ended up happening is a 2-hour circuit of Manhattan, and you're going around and around. Manhattan's not that big. And they were going in circles. At one point, they actually got into a taxi outside of a police station to try to shake them, try to divert them. Now, the taxi driver said, not describing it as a chase. He said, no, this is not that. But he did say that they were scared. You know, they're in the back seat. The paparazzi are coming up, and they're taking pictures through the windows. You've got Harry and Meghan. They're calling it, and I put my glasses on so I could read the quotes, a near catastrophic car chase. They said it involved a ring of highly aggressive paparazzi, relentless, multiple near collisions. Then you've kind of got the NYPD, and they called it challenging. And then you've actually got, they said they aided them. No 911 calls, no arrests, no tickets, according to police sources. But then you've got the other side, which is the paparazzi. And they're now starting to talk. And what they're saying is that it was the Sussex drivers who were aggressive. And they said, look, they do this all the time. They're professionals. They're freelancers, paparazzi. And they had no intention of causing harm or distress. So you kind of got a bit of a muddle. But definitely it was a pursuit. And for Harry, this is triggering. Right.
Right. Let's talk a bit about that, if we could, Patricia, because, you know, again, there's a lot of attention on this phrase, nearly catastrophic, and that can mean different things to different people. And I think you got to really look at Prince Harry and what his experiences through his life have been through that lens when you're examining this.
Exactly. And for him, the red line is photographers in pursuit. Because he remembers, and he has these, you know, he's talked about it so often, about the paparazzi who pursued his mother, including that fateful night in Paris when you know, her chauffeur was speeding through the tunnel in 1997, and of course, you know, lost control, and she was killed. And so he has always talked about wanting to protect his family from the paparazzi. He's always feared that what would happen to his mother back then would happen to them. So I can see the emotion in that original statement, and I know because he clearly felt that they were under attack.
And in the statement too from their spokesperson, it also talks that they understand there's interest, public interest, given their public figures, but it shouldn't come at the cost of their safety.
Yeah, and I don't. And this is the question: is did anyone cross the line to illegality? And I think we will know. Manhattan is one of the most surveilled places on the planet. Everyone has a cell phone. So I think if anyone crossed that line, we're going to find out. But also, he is now living in a country which has the First Amendment for the press. And so the two big paparazzi strongholds, New York and LA. And so this is the sort of thing that he's going to have to get used to. The rules have really changed dramatically in Britain since what happened to Diana and since what happened to other celebrities. But in the U.S., the First Amendment offers them a lot of protection.
And no comment from Buckingham Palace?
No comment. So this has been their standard response to everything because they're private members of the family, and so no official comment.
Before we let you go, this is the first time we're seeing you since you were at the coronation. How was it?
It was wonderful. It was emotional. I'm so glad I did it. I was actually in Hyde Park watching it with thousands of others on the big screens. We were completely drenched, but there's this one moment when the king is crowned and everyone all of a sudden stands up, applauds and sings God Save the King. And I was not expecting that because people from all over the world. And then, of course, we are still drenched. in Hyde Park.
Yes, the weather did not cooperate
No.
that weekend for sure.
Now, Patricia, there has been some criticism regarding the cost of the coronation, as I'm sure you're well aware. As a matter of fact, that's even filtered down, we hear, to William, who's maybe taking that into consideration and already thinking about his own coronation.
Exactly, and when we look at the cost, no estimates, final estimates yet, but it's about the cost of a U.S. inauguration, so about $150 million, which sounds like a huge amount, but enormous amounts of world leaders in town. I mean, the security was intense. They certainly took that into account, because you saw them, we talked about this earlier, they reused priceless robes and thrones, but they also made it a far more inclusive event. So those are people who were invited. So I talked to one of the women who was invited. Her name is Nicole Christie. She's a fashion designer out of Glasgow, Scotland. And the reason she was invited was that she got her start in one of the King's charities. And she designed her own dress for the coronation. And would that have happened in '53? No, it was the great and good invited. But so we showed the inclusiveness. And also you had the concert, you had all the street parties, you had the big help out for volunteers and stuff like that. So I think trying to make it more inclusive, we're going to see more, we're going to see further down the road, I think, with William. I think that's the way we're going.
Okay. All right. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for the debrief.
You're more than welcome.